In the early 2000s, NASCAR was ruled by legends. Names like Earnhardt, Gordon, and Stewart. And somewhere in the shadows stood a quiet kid from California. Unnoticed, overlooked, and often doubted. No one knew it then, but that kid was about to create a dynasty that would shock the sport, divide the fan base, and rewrite NASCAR history forever. This is the story of Jimmie Johnson, the dynasty that no one saw coming. Before NASCAR, before the championships, before the booze and the dominance, there was simply Jimmie, a kid from California who didn't grow up around stock cars, but he grew up around dirt bikes, off-road racing, rugged terrain, broken parts, and a thrill of surviving the ride. He wasn't the prodigy. He wasn't the chosen one. He was just talented enough to keep climbing, and humble enough to listen. Jimmie didn't walk in the garages demanding respect. He simply just earned it. But in the world of big money, NASCAR, no one cared about off-road trophies. Then, someone noticed him. Someone by the name of Jeff Gordon, a 4-time NASCAR champion at the time, and also a fellow California driver. And that would change everything for young Jimmie Johnson. Jeff Gordon was looking for the next star. Someone raw, someone hungry, and he saw something in Jimmie Johnson that others didn't. He had the talent. He just needed the right team. Rick Hendrick agreed, and in 2001, Jimmie signed with Hendrick Motorsports. A rookie with potential, but no spotlight, no hype, and no expectations. No one predicted dominance. Most didn't even predict a win. They had no idea what was coming. In 2002, Jimmie Johnson entered NASCAR's top series quietly. But he didn't stay quiet for long.
He's going to win his 13th start. It closes, but Jimmie Johnson gains the second victory of his rookie year.
He won, and he won again, and soon fans started noticing. Who is this California kid? Why is he beating veterans? Where did he come from? People didn't like how good he was, and how quick he got good. They didn't trust it. But Jimmie wasn't flashy. He wasn't loud. He didn't brag. He just drove. Smooth, calculated, cold. A machine disguised as a human. It took 4 seasons, 4 years of heartbreaks, near misses, and almost moments. But in 2006, Jimmie Johnson finally did it. He won his first NASCAR championship. And he deserved it. He had a legendary chase run that solidified his 2006 championship. The fans respected it, but they weren't ready for what was to come next. Because Jimmie wasn't done. Not even close. From 2006 to 2010, he won 5 straight championships. Unprecedented, unbelievable, and unpopular. Suddenly, the underdog had become the villain. Fans didn't boo because they hated him personally. They booed because they were tired. Tired of him winning. It felt like no one else even had a chance. Jimmie Johnson was dominating the sport, and the sport didn't know how to handle it.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the 5th year in a row, the champion, Jimmie Johnson.
The boos grew louder, and the narratives grew harsher. He's too boring, he's too perfect. Hendrick is rigged. He doesn't deserve it. But deep down, it wasn't hate. It was frustration. Fans wanted unpredictability, not perfection. And Jimmie delivered perfection. Week after week, success after success. People didn't dislike Jimmie, they disliked his dominance. Every era needs a villain. Jimmie became that villain. Simply by being great. Even dynasties break. In 2011, cracks began to show.
And having a top 5 night hang on there, Jimmie Johnson, sideways. Is he going to be able to save it? No, what a hard hit.
We're done, guy.
The chemistry slipped. The speed faded. The sport evolved. And Jimmie, for the first time, looked human. He struggled. He missed opportunities, and he faltered. Critics said that the dynasty was dead, but they should have known better. Jimmie saves his best for when people stop believing. In 2016. No one picked Jimmie Johnson to win the title. Not the analysts, not the fans, not the odds makers. And for good reason. He was older, slower, and some would say outdated. But champions, true champions, don't listen to predictions. Homestead. Final race. A final chance. Restarts. Crashes. Chaos. Everything on the line. And then, the moment. On the final restart, Jimmie Johnson powered to the front and took the championship. His 7th tying Earnhardt, tying Petty, joining Immortals. People had booed him for years, but that night, they all stood up. Everyone knew what they were witnessing. It was greatness. This wasn't just a win, it was a statement. A final exclamation point. A last straw from a dynasty that refused to fade quietly. This was the climax of his story. After 2016, the wins slowed. And then they stopped. But the respect, well, that only grew. The fans who'd once booed him, now they applaud. Because they realized something. They weren't watching dominance anymore. They were watching history. In 2020, Jimmie Johnson stepped away, not as a villain, but as a legend. A humble, quiet, relentless force who changed NASCAR forever. A champion we didn't appreciate until he was gone. In the beginning, Jimmie Johnson was overlooked. And by the end, he was undeniable. He didn't do it with flash. He didn't do it with controversy. He did it with discipline, with precision, and with greatness. His dynasty may have been hated, but it was one of the greatest the sport has ever seen, still to this day. This was the rise, the dominance, and the downfall, and the redemption of Jimmie Johnson, the dynasty no one saw coming.